Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi and welcome back to my channel Fun with Data Science. So from today onwards, what we are going to do is that we are going to do data analysis. So data analysis is a part of a data science, okay? So what we are going to do is that we are going to take a data from any of the websites and then we are going to perform some data analysis, some mathematics, some exploratory data analysis and all that things. So it's going to be very much interesting. So it can be interesting if you pay proper attention and if you do the things with me only. Okay, so now let me tell you, for today we will be going to have a data which is data for Google Apps rating. So we have Google Apps and we have a data for Google Apps rating. So we will be performing some operations and the things we will see today. Okay, so now let me introduce that this is a Google collab and in which I'm going to tell you about the Google Apps rating data analysis. So we are going to perform our analysis in this particular Google collab only. So now let's see the features. And okay, so from here you can rename the notebook and renaming like you can see, let me rename it as Google Dataset. Okay, let me name my notebook as this. And now in Google Colab, what we need to do is that here we need to click on file, and after clicking on file, from here we need to upload the data. So I have already uploaded the data, that is Google Play Store.csv, right? So now let's start writing our code and let me see, can I zoom my screen a little bit? Okay, so yeah, I hope now it must be more clearer to you, all right? Okay, so now let's start and let me see. Okay, it's better. So now let's first import the libraries, whatever are the libraries which we are going to use. So we'll be using 4 libraries in this data analysis. The first one is NumPy. For that, what I'm going to do is that for importing, I write import NumPy as NP. So basically this NP is a short form that we import the NumPy as NP. So whenever we are going to use NumPy, we will simply not write whole NumPy. We are going to use NP. Okay. And then we are going to import pandas and we are going to do the same thing for pandas also. So for that, I'm going to write import pandas as and then PD. So basically pandas is imported as PD and I have imported NumPy as NP, right? Then the third library which we are going to have. So basically these 2 libraries are used for the mathematics things and all that things, data analysis. Now the third and the fourth library which I'm going to import here, they are used for exploratory data analysis. They help us in giving the bar graphs, pie charts and all that things. So the first library for that is, and I'm writing import Seaborn as SNS. So basically Seaborn is a library which is used for the exploratory data analysis. So for that, what I wrote is that import Seaborn, and Seaborn is the name of the library, and I wrote the short form as SNS, right? And the last library what I'm going to use is that I'm going to use import matplotlib dot pyplot as plt. So basically now the next one which I'm going to use is matplotlib.pyplot and I have used a short form it for this as plt. Now let me once tell you that firstly what we are going to do is that we are going to import all the libraries. So the libraries which we will be using are NumPy, Pandas, Seaborn and matplotlib.pyplot, right? Now after that, if you want to run something on Google Colab, so what we do is that we simply press Shift plus Enter. So when I'm going to do that, it's like running the cell. Okay, so it has run and it has not shown me any error. So it means that these all the libraries are imported, right? Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use you can say I'm going to import my data. So for that we need to write something like you can say we need to write a variable. Okay, so let me make that variable as, okay, so let's write Google data. Okay, so I have written Google data is equal to pd dot read CSV and in bracket I'm going to write my data name. So the name of my data was Google Play Store.csv, right? So in the brackets I'm going to write Google Play Store dot CSV. Now, just let me explain to that what I have done here is that simply whenever I will be accessing my data, okay, the data which is Google Play Store, whenever I would be accessing that data, I would be using this Google data name to access my data. So now here I will not be using this Google Play Store whole. Simply what I will write Google data, and after that whatever function I want to perform I will write that, right? So basically here df is written. So df is the most used word you can say when we are like describing our data. Okay, so simply I have written, okay, so now just hold on, let me make it df only. So basically df is small in writing also, and yeah, it is the most used word. Okay, so what I'm done is there I made a word that is df, and now this will store my whole data and it will represent my data. Okay, so whenever I want to access my data, when I want to perform any operation on my data, I'm gonna use df, right? Now what I have done here is that this PD was a short form for the pandas library, right? So what I'm going to do here is that I'm using my CSV file, that is pdf.read. It is saying to read the CSV file using pandas, and the name of my CSV file was Google Play Store.csv. So in the brackets, I use the semicolons and I simply write the name of my file, that is Google Play Store.csv, right? Now I need to run this. Okay, so it run. Now what I want to see is that now I'm going to see that what is the type for my data, what it is, whatever I have. So for that, what I'm going to do use is a type function. So simply I wrote type, and in brackets I'm going to use this data frame df, the whatever name I have written. Okay, so I'm going to use this, and when I'm going to run it, see, simply I got the answer that pandas.co.frame.data frame, right? So it means that we have read and used our data from the pandas. So I hope this line must be clear to you. Now moving towards the next. Now if I want to see my data, that what are the values that are present in my data, what are the columns, what are the rows, for that what we use is that we use a term that is known as head. So let me write it df dot head, and we simply put these braces. So what this head does is that it helps us in showing the top 5 rows of our data. So whenever you simply write df.head, it helps you to show the top 5 rows of your data. Now when I'm going to run it, simply it is going to give me the top 5 rows of my data. So like my data contains apps, category, rating, review, size, install, type, price, content, many more things. So basically what it gave me as the top 5 rows. So the index is starting from the value of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it is going for till 4. So it gave me the top 5 rows. Now in the bracket, if I write something like 2, and now I run it, so what it is going to give me, it is going to give me the 2 rows of my data set. So simply if you don't write any number inside this, so what it is going to give you, it is automatically going to give you the top 5 rows. Sorry, let me remove this 5 from here. Okay, so it is automatically going to give you the top 5 rows. But if you are going to write any number inside this, okay, so you want like this much rows from the starting, so you are going to write that number inside these brackets. Okay, so this was the thing that when we want to start and see our data from the starting, what see if we want to see our data from the end side. So for seeing our data from the end side, what I need to write is that df dot fill. So in the upper side we were using head to see the top 5 rows, and for seeing the last 5 rows, what we use df.tail. Okay, so whenever I'm going to run it, it is going to give me the last 5 rows. So see, my data is having 10840 rows. So basically total rows, right? So now basically it is going to give me the last 5 rows, and after that if you are going to mention any number here, so it is going to give you that much of the that much of the rows from the last. Okay, so I hope I made head and tail, these two things clear to you, right? Okay, so now let's move further, and now simply what I'm going to do is that I'm going to check the rows and columns, that how many rows and how many columns are present in my data set. So for that, what I need to use is that I need to use df. Df is a data frame, and now I'm going to use a new function that is shape. Okay, so I simply need to write df dot shape, and when I'm gonna okay, I need to put the brackets. Okay, now let me run it. And yeah, so see here what I got the output is that you have 10841 rows and 13 columns. So it is of a format of rows comma columns. So whenever I want to see that what are the what are the total number of rows and total number of columns present in my data, so I simply write df dot shape. This shape is used to tell me the total number of rows and columns in my data, right? So the data which we are dealing with, it has 10841 rows and 13 columns, right? So this was the way for seeing that how many rows and columns are there in our data. Now let's move towards the next. And now let me introduce to a new function that is describe. And I simply need to put this. And now let me run it. Okay. Now see the output. When I wrote df.describe, so whatever will be my numerical column. So here the numerical column is rating, right? So it is going to give me the statistical things of this. Like it is going to give me the count, mean, standard deviation, minimum, 25%, 50%, 75%, and max. So it is going to give me these you can say these statistical information. So whenever I'm going to use df.describe, it is going to give me the output something like this. These are the things. Okay. Now the next thing that comes here is okay, so now we are going to use the libraries which we have imported. So now I want to see the box plot of my data whatever I have used. So simply what I'm going to write df dot box plot, and after that I'm going to put the bracket. So what it is going to give me, see, just let it run. Okay, so see what I got the output as. So here my numerical column was rating, right? So it simply gave me rating, and then it gave me these points. Now the normal rating is something about 4.5 given here, like this line which is present in the middle. I don't know whether you all are able to see or not, but when you are going to write the code, you will see that there is a line, green color line, which is present between this rectangle. Okay, so this line, green line, is the average. You can say this is the average ratings, whatever are the given to the apps. So this was a box plot, but what we are seeing is that are seeing this circle at the above of 17.5. So what does this circle denote? The circle basically tells us that there are some outliers presented in our data set. Now what are outliers? Outliers are the unwanted data. Understood. They are the you can say they are the values which do not match our data. They are the unwanted values. Okay. So this it is something like in our this data we have a outlier. Okay. So now we have to deal with that also. So this was the box plot, and we make the box plot simply. There's a very simple concept for df dot box plot, right? And then braces. So when you are going to do this, simply you are going to get this box plot, and you can easily see that are there any outliers which are present in your in your data or not. So we have some outliers in our data. Further we will see how to clear that outliers also. Now I had told you about a box plot. Now let's make one histogram also. So for that what I need to use is that I need to use df dot hist. So hist is for the histogram, and now when I'm going to run this histogram, simply it is going to, and let me go it here, and yeah, simply it is going to give me the ratings, like these are the ratings from 0, like it is going till 7,000, and yeah, these are the things. Okay, so it is a histogram, and okay, so okay, fine. So these were the things. And now one more thing, this something is coming at the upside of our all of the graphs, like it is array and then matplotlib.xs and something. So if you want to remove that, what you need to do is simply put this semicolon. So when you are going to put this must be removed. Okay, so this is the way. And what is this histogram showing, we'll be discussing in a little while, right? So I had told you how to make a box plot and how to make a histogram. Now, here comes one thing that we are going to see in today's video, the main thing that we are going to see, that is data cleaning, that how to clean our data, right? So for that, what I'm going to do is that when I'm going to click on the cell, simply I'm getting two options, code or text. So simply I'm going to add a text here, and now I'm going to give a heading here, right? So simply what I need to do is that I need to put a hash sign here, and I need to write here data cleaning. Okay, so why is this is coming, right? Okay, so this is like you can say it is a form of heading, like we give headings like this in Google Colab, right? Now, for data cleaning, what we need to do is that firstly we need to find out whole of the information, that what are the information, what are the like columns of our data set, right? So for that, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use my data frame name, that is df, and simply I'm going to write df dot info. So info is a function which is used to take the whole information of our data set, that what are the things that are present here. So here what I got is that I simply got these like these 13 columns, and the column names are also written like app, category, rating, review, size, installs, type, price, content rating, channels, last updated, current version, Android version. So these are all the things, and yeah, these are all the columns which are present in our data set. Okay, now these are the non-null count. Now, what is non-null count? That means that how much null values are, like non-null values are present in our data set. We'll be dealing with all the things like later on. Okay, and yeah, this is the data type, that what type of data is present. Like app is an object, category object. Rating is present in float. Only the rating is the term that is present in float value. So that is why we were getting the box plot and histogram of the box plot and histogram of the ratings column, because as I told that histogram and box plot, they will take the numerical values column. So in our whole data, only the rating is the column which has numerical values. So it is taking that only, right? So this is how we check the information about our data, that like these are the things which are present in our data. What is the data type for the columns which are present, like objects, float, and all that things, right? So this is how we do. And now next, what I'm going to check, that how many null values. Null values means that how many are the rows which are empty. So basically what are empty, and there wherever we have the null values, there's something written as nan values. Okay. So let me just write df dot, and I'm simply using is null bracket. Okay, so this is a function which is used to calculate. Okay, so just let me go a little down, a little upside. So this is null is a function which is used to show us that okay, these are the columns or rows in which you have null values, but here we are not able to see any of the null values, because simply what I have done is that I have used this like df dot is null, and it is giving me false, false, false everywhere. So I'm not able to see anything like true here somewhere. So for that, what I need to use is that I need to write df dot is null, and after that I need to do also apply the sum function. So what it will do, it will calculate me the total number of null values which are presented in a single column. So what it will do, it will just show me all the columns, and in all the at the front of all the columns it will tell me okay, so these are the total sum values, that these are the total number of values that are total number of null values that are present in your data set. So when I'm going to run this, simply see what I got here is that, like see here in the app I got that okay, you have no null value, right? In the category also you have no null value, but in the ratings you have 1474 null values, that is nothing is present. nan is written there, right? In reviews I have no null value, in size and installs, but in type I have a single one null value. Then in price I don't have. In content rating I have one. Genus last updated I don't have in these two, but in current version and Android version I have some null values. But the highest null values are present in our rating option, right? So like in our rating column we have the highest number of null values. Okay, I mean highest number of blank, like blank values, right? And okay, so fine, this was about the data cleaning. So like it's not the whole process of data cleaning, it is how we start cleaning our data. Firstly, we check whole information, then we need to check the that what are the columns, that columns or rows, or yeah, you can say any block which is null in our data set. Now what like in the box plot we have seen that we have some data. Okay, so in this box plot, I have seen that I have some outliers in my data, right? So how to deal with that outliers, how to check that how many are like, how many ratings are outliers. So outliers means how many ratings are greater than 5, because we never have a rating greater than 5, right? But there are some outliers in our data. So we need to check about that. So like for dealing with them, how do we do? First, let me add a text here and let me write the things which we are going to do, and let me put a hash sign, and then I simply write like checking how many outliers are there, right? So like this was my heading, and after that, now as I told you that outliers must be the values which are greater than 5, because we don't have the ratings greater than 5 in our apps, right? So for that, what I'm going to do is that simply I'm going to use my data frame, that is df, and in bracket I'm going to write df dot, then I'm going to give the name data, and what was the name of my app? Data, and it was, I guess, rating, right? So I'm going to write df dot rating, and let me check whether it is rating or ratings. So it's simply okay, no s is added, so I will write df my data frame brackets, and I will again write my data frame and simply dot, and then I'm going to write that name, that is rating. Okay, okay, and now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put a greater than sign and 5, so it will give me all the outputs which are okay, sorry, it will give me the that row which has a greater number of greater number of rating than 5. So when I'm going to run it, simply see it, what it gave me is that it gave me a single row. Okay, so this row, that is 10472, it has non rating, it has no rating in our this thing. Okay, so here it is saying that rating is 19.0, the content rating is none, it means that is null value, right? But my rating is 19.0, but my rating cannot exceed 5. So here what we were trying to find, we were trying to find that what are the ratings that are greater than 5. So greater than 5, the ratings that would be greater than 5, they will be treated as the outliers of our data set. So I got one single row, right? That is 19.0. So one of the apps is having a rating of 19.0, and yes, that is, you can say that is the outlier of our data set. Now, how to deal with this outlier and how to solve the further processes, we will be seeing all these things in the next video. So I hope you got all the points today, whatever we have discussed. Let me revise this once. That firstly what we have done, we have imported the 4 libraries. They are named as NumPy, Pandas, Seaborn, and Matplotlib, the .pyplot. So these 4 were the libraries which we have imported, and we will be seeing the use of each and every library in the further videos. After that, I have used my data. So for using that, I have written df is equal to pd.read.csv. So I have used my Pandas library to read my CSV data, and the name of my data was Google Play Store.csv. After that, I checked the type of my data frame. Then I simply wrote df.head. So head was used to find that it was used to show the top 5 rows of our data set. That what are the top 5 rows of our data set. If we are going to write df.head, it will show me the top 5 rows of my data set. But if in the bracket like df.head you simply wrote 10 or 12 or 15, so excuse me, so it is going to show you the that 15 rows. So whatever is the number you are going to write in the braces, in the bracket, so it is going to show you that number of rows. But if you are not going to write any of the number, it will simply print your top 5 rows. Okay, so this was about the head. Then after that I told about tail, and it is used to print the last 5 rows of our data set. So yeah, I explained. Now this we have used a shape like a df dot shape. So shape is used to like tell the total number of rows and columns in our data set. So the rows were 10841 and columns was 30. So it is of a form like the first would be written rows and then the columns would be written. Okay, right. Then what I used a function that is describe. So it is used to describe our data. Okay, then I told you about how to make a box plot, and in the box plot we saw that we have some outliers also in our data set, right? So we will be dealing with them in the further videos. After that I told how to plot a histogram, right? So we plot that. After that we moved on to data cleaning. So for data cleaning, firstly I wanted to check the whole information of my data, that what is the information, like what are the column names and what are the data types and all that things. So for that I used info. Info is a function which is used to like find whole information about our data. Then I used that is null. df dot is null. So is null is used to tell that how many like you can say how many rows or columns have null values in your data set. So I was getting nothing, like I was simply, it was simply showing false, false, false everywhere, and neither all the rows were displaying. So what I used is that I used df.isNull.sum. So it just printed me the sum value, that is all of the values that are like you can say all the columns which are having null values, the total number of null values, right? So it just printed me that. After that we were checking, after that we tried to find out the row that what are the rows that are having the outliers. Outliers means we were having the outlier in the rating column. So what I wrote, I simply do one thing, that I simply wrote df dot rating greater than 5. So what it does that it showed me all the rows which have the ratings greater than 5. And yes, you all know that the ratings greater than 5, yeah, they are treated as outliers because we have only till 5 ratings. So we got the outlier here as this 10472. This was the row that was acting as an outlier. Okay, so now in the second part of this video we'll be seeing that how to delete this row, like how to remove this row from our data set and how to perform the other operations. So I hope you got all the points whatever I explained today, and I hope you got the idea how to do a little bit of data analysis and how to start data analysis. Okay, so the doing is that we were having a data which was like Google's rating apps, Google Play Store rating apps, and what we were doing is that we were doing a data analysis on that. Right, like these were the things which we have already done, and that was the first part. Now let's move towards the second thing that we were doing, and we were checking that how many outliers are there in our data set. So for that, let me revise one so that it would be more easier. So what we had done is that we had taken 4 libraries, and that were NumPy, Pandas, Seaborn, Matplotlib, .pyplot. So basically Seaborn and Matplotlib, these two were used for making our you can say for doing exploratory data analysis, for making graphs and plots, right? And NumPy and Pandas, these two were like used for like you can say for reading the data and performing mathematical operations. Okay, so NumPy and Pandas were used for mathematic operations, and these two were used for the exploratory data analysis. After that, what we have done is that we had simply taken a name like df, that is data frame, and we have stored our data, and our data was in a format of CSV format, and CSV is a comma separated file. Okay, so basically full form of CSV is comma separated values, right? So we have done is that we had just read this file using a pandas library. After that we had checked that what's the type. After that I told you about the head and tail. So basically if you simply write df.head, so what head does is that it prints you the starting 5 rows of your data set. Okay, so these are the starting 5 rows, and in the bracket if you're going to write any of the numbers, like let's say you wrote 10, so what it will do is that it will print all the 10 rows, starting 10 rows. Okay, so basically you can remember one thing, that head is used to print the starting rows. So if you are not mentioning anything in the bracket, it's going to print the 5. Otherwise if you are like entering a particular number, so what it will do is that it will print that much rows, but from the starting only, right? And the tail was used to print the you can say rows from the last. Okay, so this we have used df dot tail, and it is also similar to the thing that in the brackets, if you are going to use any number, so it will print that particular number rows. Otherwise, what it will do is that it will simply print you the 5 last rows, right? Then what we checked was shape. Now shape refers to that what are the rows and columns which are present in our data set. So basically it's like 10841 were the rows and 13 were the columns. So it is of a form rows into columns, right? So in the first rows was there and the second we were having column. Then what we did is that we did describe, we saw the rating function, rating was one of our columns, and we saw all the, you can say, count, mean, standard, minimum, 25, 75. Like we saw all the operations, and because why it take rating, because rating was a numerical value, right? It was having numerical values. After that we had seen box plot and histogram, and what we found in box plot that we are having a outlier. Now how do I know that there is an outlier? So like let me tell you that there was a small circle. Okay, the whole of the ratings were present till 5. Okay, and yeah, it's right that we can give ratings to from 0 to 5, right? But there was a circle at somewhat 7 above 17.5. So this means that any one of the apps is having rating greater than 5, and a greater than 5 is outlier. And outlier, what are this? Outliers are the unwanted data. Unwanted data means that are faulty in our data. You can name it as that are faulty in our data. Okay, so this was the thing, and then we draw the histogram and we did the data cleaning. Okay, so now we were at we were checking how many outliers are there. So for that what I did is that I took my data frame. Then in data frame I used my ratings column. So I wrote df.data. If my rating is greater than 5, yeah, it's true, because as I was telling that the outliers are those data, like those of the ratings which are greater than 5, because we are not like allowed to give any of the ratings greater than 5. But in our data we have some you can say some app in which the rating is greater than 5, so that will be treated as outlier, that will be treated as faulty data. Okay, so for that I use that df and I use my rating column. Okay, so rating is greater than 5. So here I got to know that okay, your one of the column, right, one of the row was having rating that is greater than 5, and the rating for that was 19. So it is a, you can say it is acting as an outlier in our data set. So now for that what I will do, I need to remove this row. Firstly I had checked that what is the data, like what is the row which is having my outlier, and now I will remove this. So for removing it, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to write df and I'm going to use a function that is drop. So drop is basically used to drop any column, okay, any row or any column. So for that I'm using df.drop, and then I will, as it is function, I'm going to put the brackets, and in them I'm going to put square brackets. Now I'm going to remove this line, okay, this one row. So for that what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put this number here only. So 10, it was 10472. I'm going to put this number inside this because I want to drop this row, and the row number is 10472, right? So I want to drop it. So simply I'm putting the right, and after that I will put a column, and after that I'm going to do in place is equal to true. That means that when I'm going to print the data set for my particular range, then it should show me that okay, this row is missing, so that you have dropped this row. So now let me run it. Okay, so it ran, and after that when I'm going to print the you can say the rows from a particular, let's say I write df, and let's say I want to check that is my this row that is 10472 present in my data set or no. So let's say I want to write df, and let's say I am going to print the rows from 10470 till 10475. So I want to check that is this row present in my data set or not. So what I'm doing is that I simply mention this, and when I'm going to run it, see, what the output I'm got is that I got 10470, 10471, but after 71 I got 73. So basically 72 is missing from here, and that means that we have cleared our outlier. So this was our 72 row which was having the outlier in ratings. Okay, so rating was 19.0, right? So we were having an outlier here. So what I did is that I simply used a function that is drop. So drop is used to delete a row. You can say delete a row from our data set. So I did so, and after that when I checked that is my this row present in my data or not, so for that what I used, I simply print 5 rows in between 70 to 75. So when I checked that and when I got the output, so it's showing me 71, and after that I'm not getting 72, I'm getting 73. So this is the thing that now we have dropped our outlier. Okay, and now when I'm again going to print my box plot and histogram, so now let me show you how it works. So df dot box plot. Okay, let me write the right spellings and brackets, and after that I'm going to put the semicolon also. And why? Because I have told you this thing in the previous video only, right? That why I'm putting this semicolon. So when I simply made this, now you can see that what is the output which I'm getting. Okay, just let me, like, I can zoom this a little bit so that it's more visible. Okay, now I hope it is fine, right? So okay, so this one is my box plot which I am getting as an output. So just see in the box plot, like the previous box plot which you were seeing was going up to 17.5. These values were going up to 17.5, and after 17.5 I was having a circle, and that was treated as an outlier. But now here what I'm getting is that I'm getting the last range till 4.5 and this till 5, right? So this is showing that how we have removed our outlier from our data set, right? Now let me take you once more to the upside and let me show you the previous. Yeah, so this one is the previous box plot which we have plotted. Just see the difference that either here above 17.5 we have a circle. Okay, so we have treated it as an outlier. After that we had performed some functions to remove this outlier, and when now I have removed my outline, after that again I'm printing that. So what I'm getting is the output is this, right? So I hope you got the difference and you got the way how do we remove the outliers from our data set, and what is the use of removing that outliers from our data set, right? Okay, now let me once plot that histogram also. So for that what I'm going to use is that df dot hist, hist, and in brackets then I'm going to put semicolon, right? Simply, yeah, this one is the histogram which I got. So this, okay, so this is the histogram which I got, and now see the difference from the previous one. So right, see this one. Okay, so why it was also going till 17.5 because we were having an outlier at 19. So one of the apps was having a rating as 19. Okay, so that is why it was going till 17.5. But now here is not the case. What it is doing is that it is simply printing me till 5, right? So this is my histogram. Now this is my histogram after I have cleaned my data, after I have removed all the outliers that are present in my data set. Now what I'm going to do is that now I'm going to perform a new operation. Let me just write a text here and let me comment it. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to remove the columns that are 90% empty. 90% empty means that my I'm going to delete that column which are 90% blank. So just let me write a heading. Okay, so let me write it, remove columns, and let's say that are 90% empty. Okay, so like, right. So now I'm going to remove the columns that are 90% empty because I don't need that column that are 90% empty, because like there's no use of only 10% data in a column, right? So I'm going to delete them, remove them. Now for that what we are going to use is that let me make a variable that is threshold. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take the length of my data frame. So I'm going to write len. I'm going to use here the function that is len. Okay, so len is a function, and in brackets I pass df. So what it will give me? It will give me the length of my data frame, right? Now Okay, so this len-df, we have already studied this len function many a times. Like we have studied in string slicing, list, tuple, dictionary. We all have already studied this length function, right? So okay, so what I did is here that I just want to find the length of my data frame, and I just want to multiply it by 0.1. Now 0.1, because I want to only 10% of my rows that are filled. I want to remove that that columns which are 10% filled and 90% empty. So just I am doing that length of df, that is my data frame, into 0.1. Okay. So here what it is going to do is that it is going to take 10% of the rows count. Okay. And then we are multiplying it by 0.1, and okay, let me print that threshold only. Right. So it's something 1084.0. So this one is, I guess, okay. Um, let's check that what is the shape of our dataset. So it is 10841, and what is, if we are getting, okay, so we are getting 1084. Now let me do the further things only. Now, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say df dot drop now. So this is also a function in which I'm going to give the excess. Excess means that I need to remove the columns or I need to remove rows. So for that, what I'm going to do is that firstly I'm going to do thresh is equal to threshold. Okay, so just hold on. Okay, thr. Uh, okay, this is thresh. Okay, so now I'm going to write thresh is equal to threshold, and after that I'm going to give excess is equal to 1. Now why I have given excess is equal to 1? Because I want to remove that columns, right? So I simply wrote excess is equal to 1. Okay, because here I am planning that I need to remove those columns that are 90% empty. Okay, so if we are going to give x is equal to 0, so that means rows drop, that means drop the rows, and if I'm going to give x is equal to 1, that means drop the columns. Okay, so this is x is equal to 1, and I'm going to do in place is equal to true. Okay, so this is what I have done, and now when I'm going to run it, simply, okay, it run. Now when I'm going to print my null values, okay, so for that what I'm going to do is that print div dot is null, and in brackets after that I'm going to print dot sum. Okay, so this is what I'm going to check, that what are the null values in my data set. So when I run, simply what I got, the output is that. So see, app category. So my ratings is having 1474 null values, right? My type is having one null value. After that, current version is having 8 null values, and Android version is having 2 null values. So okay, and previously what we have seen in the null values was, just let me open that. Okay, so we have seen the same thing, only the difference is that their content writing was having one null value, but now it is not so, right? So here we haven't seen any, I mean much difference in this. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do another functions. Now what I'm going to do is that the columns which are which have null value, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to whatever are my numerical value numerical columns, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to fill them with their median of that column, and whatever are my categorical value categorical columns, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to fill them using the mode. Okay, so for that what I'm going to, firstly let me add some headings here, and let me just add a comment, and let me write it as, okay, I'm so sorry, I removed that 2 stars also. Now let me write data, okay, let me write it data manipulation. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to delete that. Let's say I want to fill my columns using my median. Okay, for that what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a function, and let's say the name of my function is impute median, okay? And in bracket I'm going to pass series, right? And then colon, and after that what I'm going to do is that I'm going to return series dot fill now. So this fill now function is used to fill that whatever is the series you have, like whatever is the thing that you have given in the column, it is going to fill that, okay? So here it will fill that using the series dot median. So now what I told you is that whenever we are going to deal with the numerical values, I'm going to take the median for that numerical values, and for the categorical values I'm going to take the mode, right? So what I did here is that I made a function that is impute median, and in brackets I pass series. After that I return that series dot fill. I use this fill now function here, and after that I said that fill it using series dot median, right? So when I'm going to enter it, so it did not give me any error, and it simply run. Now when I'm going to do df dot rating, right? Now I'm going to use my rating column here. So what I'm writing is there df, and in brackets I'm going to pass rating, right? Dot transform. Now what I used here is the transform function, and I'm going to write impute median. Now what I'm doing here is that I'm simply taking this rating, okay? I have taken my rating column, and after that what I'm going to do is that I'm going to transform it and fill that the whatever are the null values, fill them using the median. Okay, so for that I use this impute median here, and in impute median function what I use is that series dot fill na series dot median. What is the median? Fill that using this. Okay, so when I'm going to run it, okay, it run, and now when I'm going to print my is null, df dot is null. Okay, just one second. Okay, I'm so sorry. Df dot is null. Dot sum. And now when I'm going to run it, and I'm going to check that null and the sum of that, see what I got, that I got now 0 null values in my rating data set. In the data set which I was having, in that I was having the highest null values in my rating column, right? So like let me go upside and show you the same thing here. When we have found that what's the what are the null values, so in the rating column I was having the highest null values, that is 1474. After that when I had done this data manipulation, I have made this function that is impute median and by series. After that when I use this rating function here, and I filled this rating function like whatever the null values, I filled it using the median. So when I did this, and after that when I print my df dot is null dot sum, so now see I have got 0 null values in my rating. So this is how we perform and we fill the null values. Okay, so this is the method for like filling and removing the null values from our data set. So now after I have done for rating, after that we will be doing for type, current version, Android version also. But in this video I'm going to tell you till this much only, and now let me just take you to once more that what we have done. Okay, now okay, so we were doing from outliers. Okay, so I have checked that what are the outliers that are present in my data set, and I found that the row number 10472 is my outlier, right? After that I dropped that row, okay, and then I printed the rows from 10470 till 75, and I have done this because I wanted to check that is my that 10472 row is really removed from my data set or not. So I found that it is removed. After that I had again drawn the box plot and then histogram, and after that what I found is that I have no outliers. So my first task was complete to remove the outliers from my dataset. Now I was moving towards the second task. Now I wanted to remove the columns that are 90% empty. I want to check that are there any 90% empty columns, and if then remove them, right? So what I did is that I just take the length of my data frame and I just multiplied it by 0.1. 0.1 is the 10%, right? After that, I use the function that is drop now, and x is equal to 1. That is my column, right? And then I print the sum and the null values. So this was the output which I was getting, right? After that, I perform manipulation, data manipulation. So what I did in this, that I was having the highest number of null values in my rating column. So what I did, I simply made a function that is impute median, and in bracket I passed series. Now I simply returned series and I used a fillNav function here. So this fillNav function is used to fill that particular column. So for that I used series dot median, right? Now df dot rating, I simply made this df dot rating, and after that I used my rating function and I used a new function that is transform. Okay, so I simply used transform and in bracket I wrote impute median. Impute median is that this is the function which I was using. And after doing all these things, when I called my when I again wrote my df dot is null, I again checked my null value. So what I got is that I have no null values in my rating column. So basically all the null values are filled by the median, right? So this is how we fill our null values. So I hope you got the point that how do we do these things, how do we remove outliers, and after that how do we fill our, like you can say, blank columns, and how do we fill our null values. So this was all for this video, and today we have learned about the outliers, and we have seen that how to remove columns that are 90% empty, and after that we were seeing data manipulation. So in the last part, that is the part 3, we will be seeing all the left operations and we will be seeing the final output. So I hope like you got the today's video, whatever were the points that I told, and if you have any doubts you can rewatch the video, or even you can ask the doubts in the comment box. And don't forget to like. We were doing, we have taken a data set, and that was a Google Play Store data set, right? Google Apps Play Store data set. Now we have done the 3 parts of this video. Now today is the 4th and the last part, in which we are going to see about the data visualization, that how do we do this data visualization basically when we deal with any data set. Okay, so this is the thing that we would be discussing today. So let's get started for that. So now for my data visualization, firstly what I would do, right? I would write grp is equal to, I would write df dot, I would write group by. Okay, this group by. Now I will use a function that is group by, and here I would write category. Okay, so this category was one of the columns which we were having in our data set, right? So I have basically used this category. Now next thing is, I would be taking a variable x and I would be writing x is equal to grp. Okay, here what I would be doing, I would be adding my column, and let's say my column is installs. Okay, I would be adding my installs column here, and I would just do the aggregate mean for my column. Okay, that's a and it's np dot mean. Okay, now I would be doing the same thing for my y-axis also. Okay, so for y I would be writing grp, and here I would be taking another column, right? So that column would be price. So I have written price, and here I would do a and in the bracket I would write np dot sum. Now I would be using the sum here. Okay, now I would be taking one more variable, that is z. Now I would be writing grp, and in the brackets I would be writing reviews, revi EWS. Okay, now I'll be writing dot EWG, and in the bracket I would be writing NP dot mean. Okay, so this is the thing that we'll be doing, and after that I will be printing X. Okay, so print X, then what would be the print Y, and at last print Z. Okay, now I would be running these things. Okay, so I would be having error because like I just saw that I need to write NP in place of NO. Okay, so just let's take the cursor and here NP, right? Now let's run that, and here would be getting output. So basically this is the output which we would be getting. Now why I have just done this, because I have just stored this installs in X, this price in Y, and this Z in reviews. Now after that, when I would be just doing and making my graph, so that would be a little bit more easier for me. Okay, now what I need to do is that I'll be using my plotly library that I have already imported and which I have already told in the previous videos. Okay, so I'll be writing PLT, and this is the PLT dot figure. Okay, and inside these brackets I will write fig size. Okay, and now I would assign a proper size. Okay, so I would just write is equal to, and here let's say I want to assign 16,5. Okay, so this is assigning the, like this is the this would be size of my figure. So I have written 16,5. Okay, now let's say I would write plt dot plot, and this is the plot which we are going to make, and for that what I need to do is that I need to pass a variable. I would quickly pass x. Now I need not to write anything here because this x is already like we have installs column stored in x. Okay, so now here I need not to mention this, that here you need to write installs or something like that. Okay, so I have written plt.plot. I will write x, and here let's say I will write ro, and why I have written this you will just get thing in a little while. So just let me write, and I would, let's say I would write color is equal to, and let's say I want a blue color. Okay, so I will write color is equal to blue. Now I would just define the x and y axis. So I would write plt dot xticks. So basically this xticks is used to, like, you can say, define the x axis. Okay, and here I would write rotation is equal to 90. Okay, so this is done. Now what I need to do is that I need to give a title also, right? Let's say I want to give a title, so I would write plt dot title, and inside this I would put semicolons. And here let's say I would write category versus installs. Okay, so here I have written category versus installs. Now what I want in my, like, in my x axis, there must be something like display, right? So I would write plt dot, and I would write x label. Okay, plt dot x label. And now what I would do, I would just put this bracket, and here I would write, in my x-axis I would be having categories, right? So I would write categories, and I would just define it a little bit in a nicer way. Okay, so this is done. Now what I'll be doing, I will just naming it a y label, and in my, what I have in my y, so in y basically I have installs, right? So I would write installs, and here also I would just define it in a nicer way. So this is done. Now I would just write plt dot show, and I would just put this bracket. Now when I'm gonna run this, I would be okay. So I'm getting some error also. So let's check that. So basically, what's the error? I need to see that module matplotlib dot. Okay, so I must have written the wrongest spelling. Yeah, I have written the wrongest spelling. So just let me correct that. label. Okay. Now when we are gonna run this, I am going to get the output, and here we have our plot. So it is something like that. Okay, so in the y-axis I have installs written, and in the x-axis I have categories, and basically this xticks, what I have written is xticks rotation. So basically why I have done, because if I haven't written, so all these names must have be like messed up between each other. Okay, that is why I have just given the rotation as 90, and I have given that for xticks. So basically that means what, and on the x value just rotate them. Okay, now how does these circles come? So basically these circles are this RO which I have used here. So basically this RO is used for making these round and circles, and B was for blue color. So basically my circles are in my blue color. So this is how we basically plot, like you can say, plot a basic plot in using the data analysis, doing the data analysis. Okay, now let's do other things also. Let's plot some other plots, right? So I would write here as plt dot figure. Okay, I would be doing the same thing, and I would write fig size, and it's size, right? If fig size is equal to, and I will give the same size, that is 16,5, right? So this is done. Now what I will be doing, I will be writing plot. Okay, I was writing plt dot plot, and now here I would be just passing y. In place of that x, I would be passing y, right? And now here I will be denoting in a little different way. Okay, so I will be using r minus minus. Now I will be using this. This is a new symbol. Okay, you can just treat it as a new symbol, and you will just get to know in a little while that what is the symbol, and okay, how does, like, it will appear on that output, right? So this is the thing. I would write r minus minus, and let's say I want the color to be red, so I would simply write color is equal to r. So this is done. Now I would write plt dot xticks. Okay, xticks. Okay, then I would write rotation is equal to 90. This is the same thing which I have done earlier also. Now here I would write plt dot title. I would get some title. So now my like category is same. I have taken this category as common for everything. Okay, category, and now I would be writing category, and okay, I need to put the semicolons, category versus, and I would be writing the pricing, because in my y value I have stored prices, right? So I'm writing category versus pricing. Now I'll be getting the giving my x and y labels, right? So I would be writing plt dot x label, and now it's something like categories, and it's like, let me just define it in a nicer way, okay? Now I'll be writing plt dot y label, and in the brackets I will be writing prices, okay, prices, and I would again put that dash dash and this sign, and now I would write plt dot show. So this was done, and when I'm gonna run this, I would be getting the output, and okay. So basically that r minus minus gives us these dotted lines, right? So now what I have done, see on this y-axis I have price, okay, and see on this x-axis I have category. So they are rotated in 90 degrees. So that is why I have just used that plt.x6, and in bracket that was rotation is equal to 90. So this is the like only reason, that is why I was using that. Now moving towards, I even have the title, that is category versus pricing, and this is my plot. Yeah, so my plot looks like a nicer one, okay? So like this dot 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 and it's separated. So basically how does this happen? This dot 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 comes from this r minus minus, which I have used, and then my color was red, so that is why all of these appear in red only, right? So now this is done. Now we are left with one more variable, so we will be moving towards the another variable, which is one left, okay? Now I will be doing the same things, only a little difference. So for that, let me write as plt dot figure, and in bracket I would write fig size, and here I would be mentioning the same, that is 16,5, and you can just give it of your choice whatever you wish. So I will write plt dot dot, okay, and now here I will be using that z. Now here I would be making another symbol, okay? So for that symbol, what I would be doing, I would be putting the semicolons, and then I would be putting a small g, and then this arrow up, okay? So from this, I would be getting some different shape of, like you can see some different shapes here. And now I will be wanting a green color. Okay, so that is why I've given color is equal to, and in semicolons I have written G, right? Now I would write plt dot xticks, okay, in the bracket I would write rotation. Rotation is equal to 90, okay, this is done. Now what I'll be doing, I'll be like giving a title. So I would write plt dot title, okay, plt dot title, and in the bracket I would be writing category versus, and my last was what was the last one? I just need to check that once, because okay, so in the last we have done reviews, okay, so here I would be writing reviews, category versus, and that would be reviews. Okay, category versus reviews. Now what I will be doing, I will be just going downside. Now I'll be just defining x and y. So plt dot x label, in bracket I would be writing category, and okay, just let me write a small, and that is category, and I will be putting these, you can say, marks, and then I will be writing plt dot y label, and now I will be writing here reviews, okay, reviews, and reviews, okay. Now I will be putting these marks, and here we go. So I need to write plt dot show at the last, and now when I'm gonna run this, it will be resulting me in a new plot. Now just have a look that on the x-axis we have category, right? And on even on the y we have reviews. Now just see the shape is different for my plots, for points which I have, and now they are triangle. And why they are triangle? Because here in plt.plot I have used this G and this upper, that is power sign. So basically this is the use of this power sign, that if we want to make this triangle, so basically then we use it, okay. And I have written the color is equal to G, so that means the color is green, right? And after that, this is the heading, you can say category versus review, that was the title which I have given. So this was about the data visualization. Now just let me quickly give an overview from the starting, that what we have done. We have just imported 9 libraries, that were NumPy, Pandas, Seaborn, and Matplotlib. So basically we have just used, after that I have just imported my data in the df. Then we have checked the type, we have seen def, tail, these functions. After that I have checked the shape. Then we have seen describe. Then I discussed about the box plot and the outline the box plot. Then we have just discussed about the histogram. Then we have moved towards the data cleaning. In that, I just check that whatever are the null values, we just try to clear that null value. So for checking that how many outliers were there, we have just done a thing that was df, and df dot rating is greater than 5, because ratings cannot be greater than 5. So if there is something like that, so that must be an outlier, that is like unwanted data. Okay, so we just found one row, so I just dropped that row, and after that, when I just plotted the box plot and histogram, so they look fine. Now there were no of the outliers. Okay, now we have just done one more thing. Now we have just removed the columns that were 90% empty. So this was the things that we have done. Now moving towards the data manipulation. So here just I have taken a median to fill the null spaces of my, like you can say, of the columns which were having null value. So we have just taken mean, median, like mode, these things to fill their null value. So we have just completed this, and when just after that we have seen describe, so we have just got that reviews, install, and price. We have just converted all these three to integers one. Okay, after that today we have seen about data visualization. We have plotted several graphs, and like when we see these look very nice. Okay, so this is how we do a basic data analysis in a, you can say, this was a small data set. This was not a too much big data set. Not there were not of the too much values, sorry, null values, and not too much outliers. So this was a very basic and very simple data set on the data science analysis. So basically this is how we do data analysis. These are the things which are required in doing data analysis. So I hope you just got all the points about data analysis, what are the functions we use for doing a basic one, and all these stuff. So I hope I made all these things clear to you. So if you have any doubts, you can rewatch the videos, and yeah, if you have doubts, you can just see all of the parts. So if you haven't seen all the rest parts and you are seeing even this part only, so what I would suggest to see all the parts, otherwise it will make, like you can say, a little confusion or something like that. So you can just see all the parts. So there are total 20, like there are total 4 parts. Okay, and if you have any doubts, you can rewatch the videos. What we were doing is that we were having a data set that was of Google Apps rating, and we were doing some manipulation, some imputation, some like describe, and we were doing some like things on data set, right? So just quickly let me revise, and let me just take you the upside that what we were doing in reality, and just let me have a little bit of zoom this side so that you can just have a clearer look. Okay, so what we have done is that we have just imported some libraries, and they were NumPy, Pandas, Seaborn, and Matplotlib, right? After that, what I have done is that I have just read the data. So for reading that data, I have like made a variable, or you can say anything, and I have written it name as df. So now df means start data frame. I have written shortcut that was df, and now after that I have used my pandas library to just read my csv file. And my CSV file was of the name that is Google Play Store.csv, right? So here we just read our whole CSV file, whatever is present. Okay. Now next I was just checking about the types. Then what I did is that I just like wrote df.head. So basically this head is used to print the top 5 rows of the data set, right? So my top 5 rows of my data set were these. Okay. Other than that, there was one more function that was tail. So basically this tail is used to like print the last 5 rows of our data set. So that I have done, right? Next, moving towards, I was just checking out the shape. That shape means how many rows or how many columns are basically present in our data set. So I have checked that. Then after that, what I was doing is that I was just checking and describing my data. Now describing means that like it was some count and mean, median, mode, 25%, 50%, 75%, maximum, minimum, and all that things. Okay. So this was the thing that I was doing. Now all these things can be done only on numerical data set, right? So my numerical data set was my ratings. So there I was just performing and describing the data. Okay, I was just checking that what's the data and what is the like description of my data, right? So I have done that. Then what I have done is that I have just like plotted a box plot. So basically in box plot, when I plot that, what I found is that I just found an outlier there. Okay, and now just see one more thing here. I just got a very exciting thing for you. So when we just described the data, so it showed me that the rating column, and for the rating it showed me count, mean, standard deviation, minimum 25%, 50%, 75%, and maximum. So basically here when you are gonna see this maximum, so maximum was 19. So that is means that our maximum rating is 19. And yeah, ratings can't be cannot be 19 because ratings are only till 5. So here only, if you have just used a little bit of you have just seen it carefully, then you have just got an idea here only that you have some outliers. Outliers are the unwanted data, or you can say they are the unwanted data in our data sets, right? So here I just found that maximum rating I was having 19, but only the maximum rating we can give is 5, right? So this was treating as an outlier for our data set. Now after that I just saw that, and after that I wanted to confirm. So for confirming I just plotted my box plot, and here I confirmed that yes, I was having an outlier in my data set, and this circle is basically representing the outlier of my data set, right? So this one is the thing. Other than that, my normal ratings were these, downside, it is from something you can say 1 to 5. Okay, so but when I was just telling you about the describe, there we can see the minimum rating is 1. Okay, so this is the thing you can just check out from these, and then we just draw the histogram for that. Then what I did is that I cleaned my data. So for cleaning my data, firstly what I need to do is that I need to check the information. Okay, that what is my data, what data types are just present in my data set. Okay, so I want to check that. So for that I just use df.info, and just it told me that okay, your ratings data set has a float value. So that is why only I was just getting the describe function when I was using my describe. Okay, then I was getting the ratings because that is a float type. Next, I just take my null values, df dot is null, but as simply as I write df dot is null, it didn't show me anything much, because I was having too many rows in my data set, so it simply give me false, false, false. And yeah, it does not get give me the between rows. So how just can I check that is null values are present in that or not? So for that, what I did is that I simply wrote df dot is null dot sum, and when I did that sum, I just got that I am having four or five columns in which I am having null values. So first one was rating, second was type, third was content rating, fourth was current version and Android version. So basically after checking this, I just firstly I tried to remove the outliers, and after removing the outliers I checked to remove the columns at a 90% entry empty, and after that I tried to remove this rating null values. So basically we have done till we have removed the ratings null values till now. So now today further what we are going to do is we are still left with 3 of the null values. So now today I'm just gonna you can say fill up those null values. Okay, so for that let's start writing, and my data frame was df. So simply firstly I will write print, and in bracket I would write df, and in brackets I would give all that 3. So I will just firstly I will write one, then another. Okay, it will be of that type. So print df and then type. After that what I will do is that I will just replace all these things with the mode. Now what is mode? So basically I'm telling you a simple definition here. If you want to just know more and more about modes, you can just go and visit my statistics videos. So there I have already described the mode in a very detail with some examples also. Okay, so you can just see that. So basically what is mode? Mode is the let's say you have a series. In that series you have 1 2 3 4 2 3. Sorry, so let's say you have a series, and in that series you have 1 2 3 4 4 5. So basically 4 is coming 2 times, so the number that is coming more and more times in your list or whatever you have. So basically that is called the mode. So basically what I'm going to do is that I'm going to replace my type from the mode. So mode, basically whatever is coming many a times in my data set, so I would replace that type using my mode. Okay, so this is the thing that I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna do this thing for all of the 3. So for that I'm firstly I have written type. Secondly what I'm going to do is that I'm going to write df, and in brackets I would write current version. Okay, so this is my, okay, I'm so sorry, in and it's ver, I guess, right? So my current version with my mode, and okay, done. Next what I'm going to do is that I'm going to replace this Android version null values using my mode. So df dot, and then I would write Android, and that's where, and dot mode. Okay, mode. Okay, now done. So now simply I will run my program, and okay, so I have some okay, I'm sorry, I just put that dot here and I need to remove that. Okay, now once again run that, and Okay, so here I got something and let's check that what it is. So it like okay, so what I got here is that when I just replace the null values of type current version and Android version using mode, so simply I got the other thing. So basically what I got, zero free, zero varies with device. Okay, and other than that I have got whole all these three columns here in my data of my data set this side. Okay, so that is type, current version and Android version. Okay, so this is the whole thing which I got, and okay, name is Android version, length this, okay, data type object. Okay, this is all the things. Okay, now done. Now what I need to do is that I need to fill those values, right? I need to fill them. So like filling, and then what we will do is that I would simply write df, right? Then after writing df I would write type. Now I was having three columns, type, current version and Android version. So I'm just working upon that only because I need to clean all that null values, right? Now I wrote this, and after that now I'm gonna use one more function, that is fill now function. So basically in the last video also I've told about fill now. Now today also I'm gonna tell that what is this fill now. So basically this is used to fill the column, sorry, fill the blank values whatever they are. So every the data set which we are dealing with, in with that we have type, current version and Android version. So basically in all these three we have some you can say some null values, right? So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to fill with that. Okay, basically in the previous cell what we have done, in the previous cell I have just found the mode of all these things, right? Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to fill those things using the mode. Okay, so simply I'm going to write df type dot fill now. In bracket I would write string, then I would write df, okay, df, and now in the bracket I would again write my column name. I would simply write dot mode, and I will use my mode function here, dot values, and in the brackets I will give values as 0. Okay, now other than that value 0, and after coming out I would simply put a comma and I would just give in place is equal to and true. Now see what I have done here is that I have simply used my data frame df, and I have just used my column name, that is type. After that what I am doing is that I am basically filling my column name column name, that is type. I am filling my type using the mode. Okay, so basically what is this mode? I have just now told you that mode is the most repeated words. Okay, you can say most repeated numbers. So basically what I'm doing, okay, what I'm doing is that I'm just filling it using the mode, right? And now one more thing, just let me go a little bit upside once and just let me check where I have done that thing. Okay, fine, that's totally fine, nothing. Now what we have done is that I have just written this, and in place, and why I have written in place is equal to 2, because I want to just make these changes available in our data set also. Okay, so that is why I have written when I would get the output, so I in that output all these things should be changed. That is why I have written in place is equal to 2, right? So now what I will do is that I would now just do these things for the current version and Android version also. Okay, okay, so I would write current version, and after that I will use dot fill now, and I would simply write str. Then I would again use a bracket. I would write df, and then I would write current version ver, and then I would simply write dot mode. I would use my mode function, then I would use values, and in bracket I would simply use 0, and other than that what I will do is that I would simply put a comma and I will write in place is equal to true. Done. So I have done this thing for my current version also. Now my turn is to do it for Android version. So I would simply write Android version, and okay, after that I would write dot and then fill now, and in bracket str, and then again then df, and then I would simply write my name, that is Android version and okay, Android. Okay, just let me write the correct spellings, and okay, it's done. After that what I will write is that I would write mode is for replacing the values. Then I would write values, and in brackets I would put simply 0, and then I would just go out. Okay, just let me do the thing. Okay, and I would simply write in place is equal to true. Then so I have like performed all the operations to fill that like blank values. Okay, so I just still run, and after that now when I am going to print df dot is null. So because what we were doing is that we were just filling our null values, right? So when I am not doing df dot is null dot sum. So when I will just enter, I would get that okay. Now you have no null values. So simply let me go down and now just see here. Now whatever the columns were like whatever the columns were there, I am getting that I have none of the null values here. So here what we have completed is that here we have completed replacing our null values. We have finished our null values using the mean, either we have used somewhere mean, we have used somewhere mode. So basically using we have used median and mode. So basically by using that operations we have just finished all the null values that were present in our data set. Okay, so this task is completed. Now now in my data set I was having some like okay, now just see what I'm gonna do. Just like pay attention towards this. Now I'm gonna write df.price. Now I'm gonna work with price, reviews, and install all these three columns. So just let me quickly go upside and tell you price. Okay, so this was our data set, right? So here what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do like have the data, and in that I'm going to like apply some functions on price, reviews, and installs. Okay, all these three functions. Okay. Why I'm gonna do this, I will just let you know this in a little bit of while. Okay, done. Now, okay, done. So here what I'm doing is that I have used my data frame, that is df, and then I use my price function. Now I will simply put equal to and just let me give a space so that it looks neat and clean. I would write df and then I would simply write df price. Now what I am going to do is that I'm going to apply some conditions here. So for applying, I'm not going to use if else. I'm firstly going to use my lambda function. Now, what is this lambda function? I'm not going to tell you this thing here because if I'm going to tell this all these things, it will take the whole video and like I would be needing a separate video. So for that, I have already completed the video on lambda functions in my basics of Python playlist. So you can just go there and have a look over that video and just again come back for seeing this one. Okay, so like by doing this, you will get a good exposure of all the things, whatever I'm going to do here. Okay. So I would simply write df price is equal to df price dot apply lambda x is 2, and I would simply use my string that is str of x, and now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to replace. Okay, now here what I have done is that I have used a new function that is replace. Okay, and now I would say that replace dollar from space. See, here what I am going to do is that I have my data set, right? So in that data set in price, somewhat I have like dollar signs and all that thing. So I'm just gonna replace that all. Okay. So for like cleaning my data, this is also a data manipulation, and you can say data manipulation imputation steps. Okay. So like this is the call like heading in which we are performing all these functions. So basically this is the thing, and like I put the comma, and after that what I need to do is that I need to just give a space, and here I'm gonna use the shorthand if else conditions. Okay, because I don't want my like line to be too much of long, so that is why I'm gonna use this shorthand if else function here. Now for that also I have already made a video, and I hope you are following my videos, so you will get a nice explanation for all these things. Okay. So this is what I have done here, and this is what I have used my conditional. Quickly let me explain it. I have used my lambda function. Okay, so lambda x. Now my string x. Okay, so here what I have done is that I have just used my replace function. Okay, if dollar in str of x. Okay, so what it is saying that if dollar like this dollar sign is present, so replace it. Okay, otherwise let it be whatever it is. Okay, so this is the whole thing which I have written here, and this is what I was explaining to you, right? So now quickly let me just copy this whole line. Okay, just sorry. Okay, now just let me copy this whole line very quickly. Okay, let it be. I would just simply write other thing. Okay, so I would write df, and in bracket I would again write price, and what I will do is that I will simply write is equal to df, and I would simply write price. Now dot I will use my apply function, and in the bracket I would simply use okay lambda x is 2, float of x. So basically, like we are just dealing with the price value. So here we have some float values also, right? So that is why I have used this lambda function here, right? So this is the thing which I have done, and now I need to do one more thing. So for that I would simply write df, and now here I would use my reviews column. Okay, so here I will use df reviews is equal to pd dot. Now here I have used my pandas library, okay, because I want to convert it to a numeric time. Okay, so pd dot to numeric. So basically this is a function. Now I want to convert this all these things into my numeric thing. Okay, numeric. Now because reviews would be in you can say they can either be in, you can say, alphabets or numbers, that's like on the data, right? So that is where reviews and numerics, and after that what I will do is I will use my df, and inside this I would use reviews. Okay, so it is reviews comma errors is equal to, and here what I will use is that was done. So this is the thing which we have just completed. Now just let me quickly run this. Okay, so it has basically run, and now our new goal is to write some more things and perform some more functions on install function. Okay, so here I am going to do the things on install. Basically above what we have done, we have just done on price and reviews. Now my last goal is to do on installs. Okay, so I have just written df is equal to installs, and I would simply write df, and again I would write installs. Now what I would do is that I would simply apply, and after apply I will use my lambda function. Okay, lambda x and colon, then I would use my string is str of x, and then I would just simply do the same thing that I have done above side. So I would just replace that plus plus comma space. Now and after that what I would do, I would simply write that condition. So let me give a space, and I would write if plus in str of x, else I would write str of x. Done. Okay, I'm sorry, I would just simply write this x here. Okay, I guess so this must be closed, right? So this is the thing what I have done here. This is the same as I have done above. Now simply what I have done, I simply use the install function, install column. Other than that, everything is same here. Okay, so I would now just simply copy all this thing whatever I have written, and just in the same cell I would just enter and paste this. Now here what I need to do is that I need to simply just replace something. So here what I need to do is that I need to replace comma, and what else I need to do is that if plus in str, here also I need to remove this comma, and then else strx. Okay, done. Now next thing what I need to do is that, so I have done both of the thing. Now my third thing which I need to do here is that I would simply write df, and in bracket I would write installs, then I would simply write is equal to df. Now above again the thing which we have done above, I would simply apply that lambda. Now what I will write is df, and here I would use installs function, and I have just simply used triple s. I need to make it 2 dot apply, and here I would use lambda, and I would simply write x is to float, and in bracket I would write x. So this is done, and now when I'm going to run this, it will simply run. And just see one more thing. Now when I am going to do use my head function, that is df.end head, and I am printing the top 10 rows of my data set. So now my data set looks very nice. Okay, so here what I get is that I simply get to find reviews, find price, and okay, so what it is simply I get everything filled up here in my data set now, because I have removed all the null values. Now when I am going to describe my data set, df dot describe, and I would use describe function. Now just see what happens here is that I got many values here. Now See, what I got is that I got reviews, I got installs, and I got price. I got all these three, like, because all these three are already converted into into numerical values, and we get the describe function of all the numerical values, right? So here all these are converted into numerical values, and that was our goal, to convert these things into numerical values, and that is why we were applying these lots of like codes and applying these lots of functions here. Okay, so that we can get a clear data set and a clean data set. So this goal is also completed for getting a clear and clean data set. Now our last goal for this like data set is to do some data exploration at the last and just make some graphs and see that what's the final output that we are getting. So we will be doing all these things in the last part of this video, that is part 4. And I hope you got all the points today, whatever I discussed, and I hope I made everything clear to you. If you have any doubts, any questions, any confusions, you can just comment all these things in the comment box. I will surely reply to your comments. Okay. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and bye-bye.